Dire team ban. Virtus Pro's turn to ban. Dire team ban. Virtus Pro's turn to pick.
Game 5,
10
game 5,
seconds
hey.
remaining.
Drive, game 5, game 5, game 5. That's right, everybody. It's ESL One Summer 2021, powered by Intel T1 VP Game 5. It's actually happening. People always speak the legends of Game 5s, but how often do they happen? Quite frequently, actually.
Not the last major, the one before that.
Yeah.
We did have the question mark
Yeah.
major.
Mhm.
Yep. But now this time, we haven't had any punctuation in all chat, and we got Game 5.
True. Curtis, what would you like to talk about? We rudely cut you off, and I knew that you were just bursting with information
Bubbling.
about game number 4.
Go for it.
I think,
Floor is yours.
Well, I want to talk about T1 because I think
10
they're really
seconds
good at
remaining.
identifying their opponent's lineup and what its win condition is. I saw in every
5
team fight, they would
seconds
always, I mean,
remaining.
it's also how you want to play team fights, but they
Virtus
always make sure
Pros
Lina
turn
died.
to
Lina was never able to get her net worth up in that fight, and as a result, you saw like Abaddon, he was trying to right-click a Nyx in one of the replays, and he just did no damage because Lina is supposed to be the hard carry, but you can't hard carry without the items.
Virtus Pro's
Coming into Game
turn
5,
to
we've seen the
ban.
repeat draft. Was it Game 2 we had
I
this?
think
Where it was-
Timbersaw.
yeah, it was the
Dire team
Timbersaw, and then
ban.
we had the Nyx Lashrak response, and once again the line. I believe that was actually...
Yeah, I think they put Lashrak on offlane and picked Puck mid.
Yeah, that
game.
was Game 3, sorry. There's been so many games because we're in Game 5.
Game 5,
Yeah,
game
it's
5, game 5, game 5.
They banned out the Puck themselves because I think they were really unhappy with their 2-3 combination that game.
seconds
They had no one who
remaining.
could run it at all for them, and Lashrak could just sort of had to suicide
5
around the map
seconds remaining.
in order to make any space, but they couldn't teamfight at all. I think in games 1 and 4, the ultimate way that T1 were able to take those games was they out-team fought Virtus Pro. You can't do that if you don't have proper frontline and proper kiting.
Yeah, and specifically in Game 4 for T1, they were able to really lean on the fact that there wasn't a scaling carry coming into play. They did allow the Abaddon to have this early access to the game, but then they just took that decisive fight in their own jungle. And that is, like, we've said it so many times during ESL Summer, like T1, they will give up map control, they emulate PSG in the kind of play style where it's like, they don't play for a strong laning phase, they don't play for a strong, like, 15-minute fight, they'll always play
10
for that kind of
seconds
decisive
remaining.
20-25 minute, where they make those comeback moments just because they have the better kind of team
5
timing.
seconds remaining.
And Curtis, you were mentioning in the last game they were able to shut down GPK's farm. Was it mainly the Axe? Who was to credit for being able to recognize that Lina was the issue? Because same thing in game 2, Lina was popping off first pick, but in that game she was able to get all their net worth that she needed.
I think it was a combination of them knowing who to target in the team fights, but also just having a Nyx. Nyx made it a lot easier. We even saw, I think the casters questioned it, whether Abaddon took that Aegis. I think the next team fight happened and Lina died, even though Abaddon lived with the Aegis. This means that Lina doesn't get to scale. Lina's a hero that you need some base items before you can start playing for damage. You need use BKB travels. There's a lot of gold that is only basically plus 34 damage. It's once you get that Daedalus, the Desolator, MKB that you really start popping off with steroids.
10 seconds
But also
remaining.
Cuckoo on his axe, he did absolutely pop off where being able to like, hit these
5
2-3
seconds
man calls
remaining.
in these kind of closed off areas. Development of draft though, T1 this time coming into the second phase, they take away the Void because don't forget, game 3 Virtus Pro, they had the Timber, the Void, the Death Prophet, and they pretty much walked over T1. So yeah, this is kind of development of the meta of this grand finals, T1 taking away one of these big carries, but also banning out the Death Prophet
I
themselves.
think taking the Void also enables Nyx in a way. We saw in that game 3 that, was it game 3? Yeah, game 3, Nyx would use his spell to use Burrow, and then Faceless Void would just use Time Dilation on him. And he was just a burrowed creep.
That's true actually, yeah. A burrowed creep.
This also gives you a lot more team fight to back up your Lashrak. I think part of their game plan this game will be whoever plays the Lashrak will sort of be ready to edict those towers, and he'll have a lot of stuns and team fight behind him with the Nyx and the Faceless Void.
The question for VP is simply, how do they want to answer the Void? Is it by playing for a quicker early game, but that's not how they've been playing the tournament thus far? Or is it by maybe adding in some saves, adding in some ability to annoy the Void, where his early chronos aren't going to be as clean.
How about a Wraith King, where you kind of solve both things? You can take on early aggression with your skeletons, or you don't need to save if you have a built-in save of the Aegis.
That would be the go-to. I think T1 should be aware of that. Yeah. You now get the Invoker.
Wraith King is a classic for the Faceless Void.
Yeah.
Now, normally I would consider Invoker to be like a denial pick, but that doesn't feel like a very Carl-y hero, even though I love Cataclysm plus Chronosphere.
He does play Invoker.
Okay, he does?
Yeah. I mean, his name is also Carl.
This is true.
But he did play his last Invoker game quite well.
That's right.
I think VP, last time they played against the Knicks,
There's the Wraith King, yep.
Leshrac, they actually had Invoker then as well. They picked Invoker Wyvern, I can't remember, but a little bit of stun coming out with the Wraith King with the Invoker. I'd like to see a Crossrex Invoker this game, pretty much always for me. But if it connects with the Timbersaw, I can think we can see something similar to the other VP Timbersaw games where he's starting to pressure the carry and kick him out of lane.
Yeah, like T1, they really struggle with just pushing out lanes right now. Like, they have really good team fight on paper, but getting to the point where they can set up the lanes to be able to take that decisive team fight, like, the reason why they are such a strong team is because they pressure these objectives, force their opponent to be there, but they've always got some other core out in the side lane, pushing in the lanes, making that team react, and then they have numbers advantage. This isn't really going to happen with this lineup. That's why I think VP, they're confident with this, like, just a straight Wraith King pick, because they're going to be able to pair the Invoker with the Timbersaw in the lane, Alacrity the Catapult, go take some towers. Wraith King farms behind, then joins in quite quickly. Because once again, it's like T1, they aren't really invading the jungle, but their team fight is immensely strong.
T1 bans out a little bit more team fight. They take out the Disruptor, Eastern European Classic, and showed up last game. Not to much success, though. But they already showed their carry. It's not going to be a Lifestealer or a Juggernaut, so they don't want to have to deal with getting glimpsed into Static Storm. So some other support is going to have to come out, which is rare. Usually these last phases of this entire series has felt like always cores, not supports.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind... do I want to say Oracle? I don't think I do. I'm trying to think of what VP really wants in their 5 position. Like, do they want to go more lane-centric, where they try and find kills against a Nyx Leshrac, but Lesh having a high move speed, Nyx being high armor? Like, I don't think you're going to be killing anything. So I wouldn't mind VP opting for a more defensive backline support, enabling these heroes to try and kind of survive throughout the fights.
Dire team back.
Yeah, the Oracle is a possibility.
Pretty much anything that secures the lane for Wraith King to be happy with. I think Oracle might be a tad weak in the lane, but he is very good for the game. He will give you that save for Chronosphere. He'll make it so Invoker can actually cast some spells in the fights. Yeah.
They ban out the Grimstroke, some other Kingslayer heroes. He picked up
good, actually.
ET.
They banned it.
Wait, which one?
Grimstroke would have been good.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, they banned it.
Why would you have liked Grimstroke here?
I think they need a bit more damage. A little bit of oomph.
How about like a Witch Doctor or a Jakiro? A little bit more oomph in lane. And then against the Void, it's really annoying to play Void to play in.
Witch Doctor seems pretty good. I think they usually play a lot of
they just go for the Oracle.
Okay, all right. Good call on that one.
Now,
thanks for the high five, Howie.
T1 need to figure out where is Leshrac going. I feel like this is always the answer that we're looking for with T1's final pick. Where is the Cuckoo/Carl hero going? Is Leshrac off lane? Is Leshrac mid?
I think they should put Leshrac off lane, get a mid that has a hard catch for Invoker. Puck is banned.
Isn't Storm available?
Storm.
A nice little Storm little situation, always jump the Oracle. Or how about like a offlane Night Stalker with the mid Leshrac, and then just
something
fully
like
over.
Night Stalker can work for sure. I think it's hard to play Storm this game. I think Invoker's normally decent versus him, and Lion's a good matchup.
DK still in the pool, for some reason utterly forgotten in this series.
They could do DK. They just need something to frontline.
Yeah.
If they don't have something to frontline, Void will never get a good chrono this game.
This is true. They do need that hero that is like the vision enabler, because Nyx has now kind of shifted away from that style of gameplay where he's playing with another core to get the kill. It's not him running in first with Vendetta. And in the big team fights, they do like that hero with confidence who walks up the higher ground and says, look at me, hit me, and then that gives the Void and Warlock entry to these bigger team fights.
They do have a full minute to talk about their pick. I guess Storm could work just because if they need to pick a hero that they're confident can deal with the Timbersaw, I think. Because right now they might get run over by Timbersaw once again.
This is true. This is the big concern. Like, they have so much team fight, this whole mid-game centric lineup, but my fear is like that wave clear in the early point, like the entry to the game. This is what this first phase Timbersaw always put pressure in the draft, and right now they haven't perfectly answered it. They're more about survival, but that's kind of the T1 philosophy in this entire grand final. Survival, then dominance.
Definitely seems like they know what they want to pick. They're just psyching everyone up. Cuckoo definitely gave a everyone relax, I got this type
He's putting
hand.
the shoes on.
He's putting the shoes on.
He's ready.
He's putting those brown boots on.
Oh, now he's not ready. Nope,
You
now
guys
he's ready.
good? You guys good with this? What is it gonna be?
This is it.
Stop panicking, Cuckoo.
Oh, no.
What? No. You need a pick. Come back.
Okay.
Okay.
I've just made a loud noise just for fun, but let's think about it. Okay, so Broodmother's a hero that you really need to answer in two forms. How do you kill it in laning phase, and how do you defend the tower? Right now, VP has no answer, I think, to killing the Brood cleanly in laning phase. They have the answer with defending tower with the Timbersaw, but yeah, just the entry to the game, Brood will have a pretty decent time.
And what's the lane situation? It's Brood plus
Nyx.
Warlock?
No,
plus
Brood Nyx. And then it'll be Warlock Void in the top lane.
And it'll be up against Oracle Wraith King.
We might see VP go for aggro tri-lane just to get the Timbersaw matchup versus.
No, that's true, yeah.
But honestly, they don't really have to do that. Brood's not the same hero where you would like get overrun with spiders really early.
Yep.
I think as long as they are able to secure Nightfall an okay game, they will eventually be able to rotate DM down there and deal with the Brood. It is overall a good Brood game though, I think. It's a very cheesy pick. And I mean, Cuckoo, he wasn't known for his Brood into DPC. People thought he can play it, but then he busted it out at the major.
The key thing here is VP have won their games with Timbersaw being able to take the tower, and everyone moves into that kind of Timbersaw. If you have a Brood, that forces Timbersaw to think defensively now. He is the only hero that can then occupy the Brood. So unless they want to kind of evenly lose like safe lanes, with Brood coming in here, Timber coming in there, Timber will kind of lose that aggressive pressure, and that's maybe why they picked this hero to give Void time to farm up. But, you know, we'll see. It's an exciting, it's game 5.
Yeah, both teams seem to have pretty similar scaling across the board. The offlaner is going to draw a bunch of focus. Timber on one side, Brood on the other. Your mid laners, you got the Invoker and the Leshrac. Pretty similar power spikes, and then Wraith King and Faceless Void another direction.
Yes, we really need a whiteboard, honestly. Like, I think right now, if we could have drawn some arrows and stuff about the shifting of map movement and stuff, that would be amazing. But luckily, we don't need to do that.
Those have been outlawed in Dota 2, unfortunately. We won't be drawing on them again. But I've brought you the premier casting duo you could possibly ask for. That's right, it's Sunsfan and Jenkins for game number 5.
All right. Oh man, I was really hoping you'd say Cinder in there, because that would have made a lot more sense to Nami. You're stuck with us, Sunsfan and Jenkins for game 5 of this grand finals between T1 and VP. Both teams have looked absolutely fabulous at times. VP picked out of the last game. Did not work out in very big fashion, I guess you could put it, Jenkins.
Yeah. Now we have the last pick. Broodmother.
Yes.
By no means a free Broodmother game. Timbersaw, good game counter. You can kill all the spiders, lane against the Brood quite easily. Yep. And I do like Wraith King plus a nuker against Brood in lane. So melee owner, Brood melee hero.
Cuckoo. Great Fire Blast to the Fortune's End. We're not able to connect with the Timber Chain on the other side. That's going to be first blood going to GPK. The Broodmother already falling, Jenkins. I mean, this is one of those, it's not, we've seen somebody get Broodmother, and I still can't decide what I think of him, but
30 seconds
in the past, as a last pick, it's like you win the game fast or you lose the game fast. How's the dynamic now in this patch?
I don't think it's that way anymore in the current patch, because you're going to be building into utility items anyway, so it's more so you fall off and become a typical utility offlaner rather than just falling off and losing the game.
Right.
So just because of the new build, I think that's not a problem anymore.
See a lot of pipes as first item on Brood. Aghanim Scepter later. I mean, a lot of choices after the fact. The EMP come out. Splitter is going to hit onto Nightfall. Fortune's End though. We keep Nyx Assassin in place. Looks like another kill going the way of VP, so 2-0 start for them as they're picking more traditional heroes. No position 1 Abby. They're not doing anything crazy this time around. I mean, there is an Oracle. We don't see that every day, but
Pretty standard hero.
yeah, not that crazy.
And as this was happening, Cuckoo was trying to make sure that he gets the lane matchup that he wants. He was paying close attention to where DM was on Timbersaw. He was running between the lanes. He really wants to be against this Oracle plus Wraith King. But this lane is quite difficult for Brood. It's 2 nukes, they can zone you, and then once you get the spiders, Timbersaw's going to be level 6, and you can rotate to that lane with the Timber. But not as free as a lot of other last Broods in prior patches.
Like 23 Savage is going to take the damage here. But time walks it off. And it's not like the old Brood where you get the spiderlings right away. You have to wait till level 6, and the question is, can he survive that long? As, like you talked about, tons of nukes coming out already. I mean, is this a game where Nightfall maxes? I mean, we saw the game, I keep forgetting who was playing it, but they maxed out Wraithfire Blast. Is that something you look to do here, or are you still focused on your farming?
That was the build throughout the major,
Radiant's
maxing
bottom
Wraithfire
tower
Blast,
is
because
under
the Drake
attack.
doesn't really help you jungle faster, and it's mostly the skeletons, and you're not getting that many skeleton charges without already using skeleton charges. So it's this weird thing where 4 is kind of enough, and using the 4 points in nuke, or at the very least like 2 or 3 points in nuke, is often enough to get you a lot of kills, and you can show up to things that otherwise you wouldn't be able to.
See the Carl Leshrak mid. So we've seen this hero basically between the off lane and the mid lane for the most part versus the Invoker. I assume it will be the typical Invoker going Quas Wex into the old Spirit Vessel, into Midas, and then eventually going for Cataclysm and all that good stuff.
Plenty of chain lockdown for Cataclysm, so eventually that will make sense. Whatever he builds into, eventually nags.
Carl,
Be careful.
very okay. GPK gets basically handed to him there. Goodness, that was interesting.
And a lot of that comes from the fact that Carl is the type of Lesh mid player that he holds his points to see if he needs to use Lightning Storm, and usually he'll opt to go for more points in Edict just to do a crap load of damage the moment he hits level 6, and that gives him the ability to take towers. But in that situation, you can see it resulted in him getting a lot more than a traditional distracted Lightning.
See the EMP come out, GPK, like, doesn't connect. So Carl at half mana already, even though he just got back into the lane. Cuckoo, on the other hand, 6-1 in terms of CS. I mean, what are you even happy with in this stage? Like, at what point, like, does it really come down to that level 6, or is it more getting the webs up to a high degree so that you can actually regen enough to withstand this burst damage?
6 is important because even though DM's likely going to rotate to his lane on Timbersaw, still, it's not a good hero for chasing around the spiders. Timbersaw's good at sitting in lane and making sure that the tower's never going to go down, but you're not really quick enough to deal with the brood spiders in the jungle, and so Kuka's going to be able to farm as soon as he gets level 6, and that's going to push these heroes that can potentially kill him out of the lane, and that's the problem right now. He has to be so scared of this double disable combo between the Wraith King and the Oracle.
Whitemon harassing a bit with that Fatal Bonds. Another combo here from VP. Not going to be enough for a kill, but Cuckoo will at least get some XP here and a couple of last hits as well. Zephyr actually pulls an entire wave, so he went the just cut the wave and brought it around through the river, I assume. Helped get his Brood a little bit more XP and gold since he is kind of struggling right now. See if he can get some last hits under the tower, though. Still going to be pressured, though, in the meantime by Kingslayer. See the Impale connect, Nightfall, but just a little harassment back and forth. Nightfall, of course, will be able to go into the jungle at some point if he really wants. I mean, is it more dependent on how your lane is going if you even bother going to the jungle? If you're getting free farm in the lane, you just give it up to an ally still, or do you just stay?
The only person that can take the Brood's lane is Timber, past, you know, a reasonable point, and so I think if you can stay here with Wraith King, just to keep things simple, you do stay there, because that's probably going to be your highest skill threat, maybe even with the rotation from the mid lane Invoker. And then after that point, it's got to be Timber. But we can see Zephyr went for a really cool build here. He went for a second point in mana burn to prevent the double nukes coming out. It's just to make Kuku's life a little bit easier. Wraith King obviously can't press his stun if he has no mana for it. And there's no point in going for the Carapace because Zephyr's not playing the lane. So he's just going to mana burn, help him out a little bit, and then leave and give Kuku the solo XP.
Yeah, it's cool to see these new skill builds being based off of how the game is actually going instead of just pigeonholing yourself into the same build over and over with. You know, 99% of pubbers, including myself, will do. Maybe you should make a video on that with some extra arrows, making sure that somebody watches.
You guys can
Courier taken out. Whitemon's Courier, that is, by save. He's gonna take some damage on top, but nice some blocks coming out as DM making his way in the vicinity, looking for the Timber Chain opportunity. There we go, and this looks like a kill going the way of VP again. So 4-0 advantage, already 2K, and 23 Savage trying to help out his comrade, but ain't happening.
Beautiful body blocks by Save, ensuring that when that creep wave is being tanked,
Radiant
there's some sort of punish for it. And makes enough space that DM can come over and get a free kill. He's almost level 6. And this is when any lane that Timber goes to, he's going to have an advantage against lane.
Zephyr with a very uncharacteristic miss on the Impale. Ends up paying the price with the Cold Snap EMP combo.
There's a bit of the punish for not having Spiked Carapace, not as slippery as a typical Nyx would be at this point. Also, sacking those levels to Kuku's Broodmother means that Zephyr doesn't have a level 2.
See some action top lane. Chakram is there with a setup from Save. Not enough to kill Whitemon yet. Trying to get off the fatal bonds here. DM is pursuing him from behind. You see the Hex. Timber Chain will be another kill on the Whitemon. And DM is pretty freaking farm right. In fact, all 3 cores on VP are top net worth at this current point.
We were all thinking with the last pick Brood, what do you do to deal with this hero? But
what do you do against Timbersaw? Oh, this might be it though. Yep, we see the Lesh coming with that Chronosphere setup into the Split Earth. Enough magic damage, and that is a huge kill for T1. They desperately needed it.
DM was playing really far up there because he had the catapult, so he wanted to take this advantage he had in lane and turn it into the tower, but Lesh, great hero dealing with the Timbersaw. Once again, Batrider and Lesh are the 2 best heroes for laning against
Yeah, Zephyr might be caught out again. Cold Snap. We have the Impale, EMP. It's not quite enough though. He's still only level 2, so like you said, no Spike Carapace. Try to combo break that, if you will. GPK is going to be perfectly healthy here. Top net worth in the game right now. All right, what do you think of the matchup of... I mean, I saw Void picked in the... I think it was the 3rd pick overall. And I was like, okay, this is just going to be a Wraith King game, right? And it is. So...
Dire's middle tower is under
Wraith King that good against Void? Is just the survivability, or is there something that I'm missing here?
I think Wraith King is a sort of pushing hero with the skeletons as well. So similar to why Drow Ranger counters the Void. If you don't lose the ult and also in the late game, such a low cooldown. Oh, okay, Kuku makes a rotation.
GK, yeah, see the Spiderling doing so much damage. Fate's Edict not enough, and now the Impale from Zephyr into the Split Earth. So nice turnaround here for T1 as you see Kuku making the transition, and this is where the hero starts to be a bit of trouble to deal with.
This is really nice from Kuku. So he's doing this thing where his webs are not really in an ideal state for farming, but they are in an ideal state for pressuring, because DM now has to rotate between mid and bot to chase the Brood.
My goodness.
But Brood is so fast.
That tower got decimated. Save in the meantime does get the Earth Spike. DM in the vicinity as well with the Chakram, but Zephyr on the sideline gets the Impale only on to save though. Looks like it might actually be enough to get everybody out with their lives. Tornado ends up missing here, but Kingslayer might be dying again. He's getting chased by Kuku. It's really difficult to get away from this hero as a support for sure. But the fact that they took that tier 1 tower in like feels like less than 10 seconds. Pretty crazy.
What a smart rotation from Kuku. It's a very atypical thing for Broodmother to do that, to rotate to another lane. But that is the only advantage that Broodmother has over Timbersaw.
Yeah.
Is to just run between the lanes quickly, and Timber spends all of this time chasing and the hero that's doing stuff.
Whitemon getting chased by Nightfall, and one more crit will do it. See if they can turn this into a tier 1 tower as well.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
This game started going in favor of VP. I mean, they probably are still favored to a degree, but now that Brood is online with 23 Savage in the vicinity as well, so it'll be a trade at the very least.
Dire's
tier 1 towers.
I love that T1 is flying. I like that they're flying around Brood, because we saw this exact same thing in Major.
Radiant's bottom tower has
I
fallen.
believe it was EG, maybe it was EG. Anyway, there's a team that was picking Ursa with the Broodmother, and they would put Ursa behind Brood, so anytime the Brood counter would run at the Brood, Ursa would be there to counter that counter, because that's typically the way that works. All of the heroes that are good against Broodmother are not good against Ursa, and T1's kind of doing the same thing, except with multiple heroes. They're putting the Broodmother with the Leshrac, or the Broodmother with the Faceless Void, so that way you can't just run Timber at this hero and push it out of a lane anymore. You have to go in there with like 4 heroes to get Brood to go away.
It's funny that the way that you play against Brood has kind of shifted a bit as well. So many years, it was just the same hero, the same play style. Now we're seeing just more flexibility, it's a little bit more dynamic, and maybe a little too strong right now, but I mean, How often has it been banned in this tournament? Off your memory.
It was getting second phase banned, so it's fallen out of favor in the first phase, presumably because a hero like Wyvern does very well against Broodmother, can kill the spiders in a support position, and it just feels much better than what power level Broodmother is at. So because these heroes have come into the meta, Broodmother falls down, but the question is, you know, is that warranted? Should Broodmother have been still getting first?
Well, it's funny because, I mean, not that Wyvern wasn't underpicked by any means at the major, but it wasn't as strong as it has been in this tournament, it feels like, right? Maybe towards the tail end, but yeah. You just discover new things with each patch, and I mean, this patch isn't even that old for all intents and purposes, but yeah, people still looking forward to whatever is in store in the next few days. Let's see DM now at the hood, and Kingslayer still not level 6, 12 minutes in the game. That false promise, obviously, probably the best save in the game if you can get it off. Especially with the Wraith King that can get some regen with the lifesteal and Timbersaw as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of Timbersaw, you're going up against a Faceless Void with Time Dilation, which maybe hasn't been that big of a deal yet, but you can see he is going for the Lotus Orb to be able to dispel that. One of the more annoying spells to deal with as a Timber.
Pretty good against Fatal Bonds as well, and possible Broodmother Orchid, although who is going for Mechanism. And I think this is a good build, just given how they're playing around him. If you go for the Orchid, it's more so a kind of solo pickoff style build, and you already have enough pickoff between the Leshrac, the Nyx, and the Faceless Void. You don't need more, even though silencing the Oracle would be pretty... More so about supporting your team, and they do the work for you. He's countered on Brother by the Timber.
See a smoke here from BP. Yeah, we typically see the pipe as a first item, like I was talking about. Solar Crest as well, but just switching it up just slightly. We've seen some Greaves, of course, in the past. In addition, as Cuckoo, with all his spiders, will be potentially ganked here. Gonna micro them to a high degree. GPK in the vicinity. Tornado misses, though. It's a couple of creeps, and that's about it. But a big stun from Zephyr onto 2. And now VP are on the run. Kingslayer just drops of his own accord. Cuckoo, not mincing words here. Looks like the pressure's going to be applied again, but the Ice Wall is connected here. Slow progress is a Chronosphere on all 3 on the outer edges, but what is the follow-up? Buyback onto the Oracle now. The Bash is online, so Save takes the tumble. But in the meantime, taking some damage from the Chakra. We see the Sunstrike coming, but it's not going to connect on anybody as Nightfall has come to play as well. Tornado will hit the Leshrac. Trying to save him with Cuckoo here on the sideline. DM, you can see taking some right-click damage, but as we see the Radiance now online at the 13.5-minute mark. The Nightfall still with that second life, but well, Lion did die. That counts as somebody.
Well, I don't know. It's a
just because he's hideous doesn't mean he's not a person. Okay? But yeah, now with this, I mean, obviously you want the level 12 on Wraith King. That's probably the biggest thing. Oh yeah, there was a buyback there on Oracle. Yeah, he was the first to fall actually. But yeah, that was an incredibly good chrono. Looks like the Impale is gonna just miss here. The chase is on. Trying to get control of this jungle. Chaotic Offering being faked out. GPK doesn't have a ton of mana to work with. And Nightfall still only with that level 1 ult. But running in. Gets that Wraithfire about to be spelled there by the Vendetta. Or Dodge, I should say. On the other hand, is going to get bursted down between the Chakram and the Finger of Death. So VP getting full control of their jungle again.
It's a little out of position there. You know, expecting that playing near that high ground is going to be enough to keep Cuckoo alive, but there's so much disable coming from the side of VP. And with Nightfall picking up his Radiance, they're super comfortable taking almost any fight, even into a high ground. They just want to punch people, right? Chrono being down.
Yeah, looks like Nightfall is going for the SNY. So extra status resist, which anything against Chrono, obviously, but that's why you pick Wraith King to counteract the Chrono.
SNY. Almost certainly a candidate.
It's been nerfed. What do you mean?
Not enough.
I don't know. I feel like it hasn't always been SNY. It's just Sage into anything.
Well, that nerfs it. I mean, it's Halberd.
Although I will say, Halberd has not been picked up very often.
Oh, that's a bad item.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's too expensive. It doesn't get more status resistance when you level it up. Every other Sange item does.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. No need to get angry, Jenkins.
I'm so sorry.
Your passion for the game has already been noted. And your passion for killing birds as well.
Don't get me started about them.
I won't. Don't worry. I never want to hear that again.
They don't even exist. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. All right, we have the plate mail on Timbersaw here as just a perseverance away from finishing the Lotus. And yeah, looks like Wraith King is top net worth though, so 1K advantage for him, but the next 3 cores, or the next 3 on the net worth list, I should say, are on T1 side. So I think this first Roche is going to have a pretty big impact on the game. And who would you favor for Roche fights?
Probably T1. It's mostly just the Warlock and the Fixed Void that make that. I mean, if you eventually get the Leshrac Aghanim Shard, then that's a fairly big deal for Roche.
I guess VP kills Roche faster, but T1 can defend it better. Right?
True.
Yes,
for sure.
See the Split Earth Ag Shard, which I'm sure we'll see at some point. Started as a meme and then got buffed, and now it's incredible.
Dire's top tower.
Seems pretty good with Chrono. You're guaranteed, you know, you could
Radiant's middle tower
Chrono
is
into
under attack.
multiple stuns, and I'm sure one of those will be timed that follows up with Chrono.
Yeah, and they do have, I mean, if they get a big Chrono into a Fatal Bonds with Chaotic Offering, if it's layered towards the tail end of it, with that Split Earth, like we talked about, that is, I guess their version of Wombo Combo, not too bad. It's Impale going to connect. T1 trying to surround DM here, but he is super tanky. Looks like Zephyr's going to be the one that gets bursted down instead. Sunstrike coming up with the counter initiation with that Chaotic Offering. The disengage. Whitemon's little golem will take a tumble. So it's only 1 kill. We see these little like mini fights, and only like 1 person dies, 2 people at most.
T1's very confident that they have this backup of Warlock ulti and the Chronosphere. Well, why they're playing so aggressive, because they know that even if somebody dies, the fight can be turned with one of these 2 abilities. And DP, they're playing very safe. They're kind of only frontlining with Nightfall for the most part in these fights, sitting in the trees with supports. As well as the Timbersaw, of course, not an easy hero to go on.
Nightfall. Okay, I think it's not going to be an SNY unless he has something coming to him now. It's just the casual Sange, and he did this last game. He's going to go for BKB almost certainly, but he only has an Ogre Axe queued up. If we get an interview, we need to ask what this is all about, honestly. I'm baffled. I love it at the same time, but I'm baffled.
What other Ogre Axe item is there?
Echo Sage.
I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, this helps quite a bit. Okay, Aghanim Scepter, for sure.
Dragonlance, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, probably not.
That is a good stat item.
I will say, Ags is very underrated on this hero. I don't know why it's not picked up more often. It's more like a 4th item.
Maybe not yet.
Yeah, I agree. But we don't really see this 4th item, which is really weird. I feel like it's super, super strong.
Because you're the carry. You're going to get it off of Roche. That's your Ags if you're...
We haven't even gotten 1 Roche yet, so it's going to be a long game. Yeah, we're playing for the 60-minute mark. Yeah, sure.
This is the issue with Brood. Okay.
Oop, Zephyr with that spike carefully set up thanks to that Radiance. 23 Savage jumps in as well. Remember, this is a Wraith King that you're dealing with. Carl has some damage. Splitter's not going to hit, though. And again, that's still a pretty difficult kill, but T1 actually moves everybody in the vicinity to try to go for that. So that opens up the map a little bit for VP.
Kuku TP'd as well.
Yeah.
Did he walk there with webs? It's still odd that he moved towards the top lane. Oh, he did TP on Broodmother.
Very active Brood.
I kind of like this because the problem with off-lane Brood on the Dire side is that you play in the enemy jungle and then you're nowhere near Roshan. The advantage of Radiant Brood is that you get Roche by virtue of playing where you already want to play on Radiant. And so I would like to see him moving his webs more towards the enemy triangle if he can. Of course, it's not the easiest thing to play in the enemy triangle, so... Just a bit of a TP.
Yeah, so he got that mech and then straight into pipe, so hasn't finished the Greaves yet, but I assume that will come at some point in the game. And it's a pretty expensive recipe, but do you have any good dispels this game that would make you want, I guess, Cold Snap? Is that it? I guess is Whirling Death, I mean, not that that really matters that much, but is that buff dispellable?
Yes.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So yeah, maybe not the highest value Greaves, although the regen that you get when you're low is pretty freaking valued.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. The aura is really nice against this damage over time. So that's a waste of drop. That up.
And Max?
We don't litter here in Sweden.
Ooh, it's pretty clean here, that's true. It's not Singapore though.
They're big on recycling. That's why I threw a can in garbage.
Yeah, they were very angry
They
that it
were
wasn't
not happy
recycled. Oh, we have
about that.
Cataclysm online now for VP. Smoke from T1 immediately will run right into VP themselves. And again, it's just Nightfall being that front liner. I'm not sure if VP wants to necessarily fight without this BKB on Nightfall, but I mean, it is a very even game, so it all depends on, I mean, again, from a team fight perspective, T1 does have good, in theory, chrono into whatever else that we talked about, but it does take some execution. We've had some TPs down here. Cataclysm a little bit early. Not really going to hit anybody. The Chaotic Offering is only going to hit one because of the Yule Scepter on the save. And now the Chakram comes out. Nightfall missed something. Oh, big whirling death into the Timber Chase. Blows up 2 instantly on T1 side. And now they are on the run. DM opening up a can of whoop-ass on this Timber Saw. And that'll continue onto Whitemon. Wraithfire Blast applies and crits him down to the ground. Holy Jesus, DM. That felt good for me just watching it.
It's funny that in this game, the exact thing that T1 usually wins team fights with, which is their patience in using their abilities and their ability to kite. In that fight, it was the bane of their existence because they were so patient. And 23 Savage didn't want to just go for this 2-man chrono. He's like, okay, they've used Cataclysm, so
Yeah.
I can do something better than this. They don't know Kata. This is an easy fight.
Oh, watch it. Just wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, God.
That's done, man. What a stun.
So disgusting. That was nice. Yeah, beautiful setup from VP. Very patient. And yeah, the Cataclysm ended up just being a bait, I guess, because it didn't hit anything. But yeah, VP come out on top big time. But they don't turn it into a Roche or anything like that. Didn't have enough time. We do see a 3-man smoke already from VP.
Oh, there goes all the spiders. That's very sad.
Yeah, DM is... To hold that thought as the Warlock looks to be dead here. Doesn't have Chaotic Offering, obviously, so... Doesn't provide much for his team without that shard, Jenkins.
Oh, he's gonna get his
So, yep, there's the cancel. Sunstrike to follow. Down goes the Spider. VP starting to take a little bit of a lead now. 4K net worth lead. And they should be going for this tier 1 tower at the very least. And Shard is actually going to be picked up by Nightfall pretty early. How many Spiders have been killed by VP in this match? You guess.
Do we answer this?
Yeah, it's fun to try.
Let's see. So he just killed about 50. I'm going to say like 200. What?
Okay.
No, wait a minute.
I'm going to say...
There's no way.
I'm going to say 85. I'm going to say 85.
I get a mulligan.
No, that's no mulligan. That's not allowed. Carl has his pulse number going onto GPK with a nice ice wall to create some space. And DM in the river. The Chakram's out. He doesn't really have much mana to work with, so we'll have to just back here. All right, how many? 99? All right, I win.
Okay, I wasn't that far off.
You said 200 something.
That's only double.
You're an idiot.
774 gold from Spiders?
Dire's bottom tower
Worthless,
is under
though.
Yeah,
attack.
but that's a lot.
He's getting swole.
I mean, if you have a lot of pennies, eventually you make a fortune. Because that's why you were hired at this event.
We don't even have pennies in Canada, so I take offense to that. They're banned. Google it, that's true.
Okay, I won't. Thank you. So what's the, is the mana burn really that big of an issue for Wraith King? I mean, historically speaking, like against Wraith King, it's not that amazing, but is it enough to have to worry about and just go for the shard? He actually delays it here. He gets the Hyperstomp first.
I was gonna say, he's got the BKB. He's sitting on a nice 13-stack wand charge. Not really feeling too bad in any of these fights. Nyx is not having the best game.
Are scanning.
You can delay it a little bit.
Okay. But we do have the Aghanim Scepter Burrow, just like every other game on Nyx Assassin. First item, brown boots.
Okay,
That
now
count.
you need the shard.
Yeah, we have a 9-man smoke overall. Nightfall, the only one. Of course, he has that second life to work with. Zephyr burrowed up. No vision showing him right now, but double impale. All right, into the Chaotic Offering. Using most of their resources on the save. He's already only at half HP, and here comes the Cataclysm. Fletcher gets the Yule's off to save himself. The Chronosphere is going to clip 2 into 2 supports. Very important to kill that Oracle, but both will buy back into the game. Now Carl trying to get out of this, but looks like he's going to fall here, but a nice split Earth comes out. Ends up saving him in the end, and VP have to run, despite Zephyr being completely out of mana. Too big. I mean, again, it's on the supports, but the Oracle is by far the most important person to kill, I think, in this fight.
You don't normally see a Nyx assassin initiating a fight with a long-range 2-man stun like that, but what a setup forcing these buybacks. And then he had another, like, 3-man stun as well as the fight progressed.
Boom.
Yeah, look at that.
Chaotic offering.
Not much to follow up is the problem.
Yeah. The Yules ended up saving the Lesh there for sure, and you can see the Chrono clipping both supports, so that ends up being a freebie for 23 Savage. Double kill for him there.
Zephyr hits another double stun.
Yeah, Carl as well. Yeah, nicely played.
A lot of these fights, not much is happening for this high skillness that we're seeing. You know, like there's these crazy double stuns and combos happening, and then it's like, oh, they have no damage. That is too bad. Just the support's dying. It's always the support.
Yeah. It used to be worse. You still get a lot of gold these days. And we're actually seeing supports get more than just the brown boot wand, so be happy.
Ah, those were the days.
Yeah.
Brown boot stick.
Yeah.
10 centuries. He's living the life on
this player. But we talked about VP being able to take Roche a little bit faster than T1, especially with the alacrity applied to Mr. Wraith King, but with the Nyx Assassin in tow, no Chronosphere though, and no Chaotic Offering. I think this is the biggest reason that VP is feeling very comfortable in going in here. Chakram is going to be helping out as well, but the Spider's going to be used to scout this out a bit. Roche basically at half HP now. Nightfall can just continue to solo this if you really want. Of course, there is some capability from T1 side to jump in and try to steal this. And Zephyr's going to be spotted out. There's the dot. Chakram to follow. So much damage reduction. Finger, that's still not enough. He's healing so much right now. While Burrow, 23 Savage, trying to focus on GPK, but he's going to get out, it looks like. Zephyr is still alive. Chakram, Spike Carapace. Eventually, nope. Okay, DM running out of mana now. Doing a great job of protecting Zephyr between the heals that he gets inherently with that Burrow and the Shadow Word.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody be doing literally nothing and still be the MVP of the fight. He's doing nothing.
He's inside his little home there.
He's just there.
That's about, he's literally 10 polygons right there.
He's literally an anthill. All
right, if we're gonna get more Nyx Assassin Ags upcoming for TI, let's get a little bit more polygons added to this thing, all right? That thing looks like
we could use a couple more. It looks like a pile of dung.
Yeah, it's quite bad. 23 Savage now going for Roche though. See the spirits coming out. Try to get some vision here. Yeah, they just don't do it fast enough, but this is looking a lot like game 1. So we have a little bit of a stall here as we see the side cam onto Zephyr. Very important. Impale is going to connect. All right, the Mana Burn doing quite a bit. Nightfall going to get purged off. He's ready to go back in again. Keep an eye on those polygons on the bottom of your screen as Roshan's getting quite low. Cuckoo can go in and out of the pit, no problem. It's another aspect that we don't really talk about. Slither's going to connect again. This time they're going to go on safe. BKB popped by 23 Savage. That is going to be enough to take out the support, and they know he does not have buyback. And now the pressure being applied to the Wraith King. He's going to go down, but that is the first life. I believe he does have Shard. Chronosphere just to ensure that they get this. Roshan looks like Savage gets the snatch, so the actual Roshan ended up going to VP, but the Chaotic Offering now used in retreat here as VP attempting to get out. Deafening blast applied there, but Nightfall completely surrounded and will finally be brought down. Didn't even have his Radiance on, by the way. Just trying to dodge that Spike Carapace, but interesting choice there. Either way, T1, very nice play overall.
Yeah, great chrono from 23 Savage.
Great job in the Burrow, by the way.
Yeah. Pile of Sand was doing a great job there, sitting in the middle of the fight, pressing his stuns off cooldown. You know, he gets to relax and have a vacation right now what a beautiful replay. So good.
Yeah. Oh, he hit a button there. Okay.
I think he did hit a button.
That was Spike Carapace.
I believe that was one of his buttons. God, what beautiful play.
The Ags is crazy, though. You get the damage reduction, you get all this guard. Every single skill is upgraded while you're inside.
It's worth noting that a big reason he's so tanky is, number one, he's a pile of dung. And then number two, Cuckoo has all of these defensive items. He's got these auras. He's got Greaves aura, he's got Pipe aura, he's probably Solar.
With the Holy Locket, like you said, and